a certain architectural design, which is the usage of Capiz style windows by imposing vernacular architectural designs. Vigan, the historic city of Vigan, were able to preserve their traditional art and culture. So, konti lang ang impact control measures for cultural impacts. You just have to develop programs which enhance tourism and hospitality's contribution to intercultural communication and interaction. And lastly, incorporate local indigenous features within Western style structures and encouraging employees to dress in native cultures. So ito nga yung mga ginagawa ni Historic City of Bigan. And again, Historic City of Bigan is one of the UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. Now let's go to the last one, environmental impacts. First, positive environmental impacts would be the conservation of the environment. Preservation of the environment not only benefits the local area, that's true, but they also determine the future of tourism and hospitality. Apart from the residents getting benefits from the preservation, tourism and hospitality, for as long as it draws tourists, will continue to be socio-economic and cultural asset. Examples of this are the UNESCO's World Heritage Sites. Again, yung example ko kanina, Historic City of Viga, hindi. Sa cultural naman yon. For Mount Hamiguitan Wildlife Reserve, that is the newly listed UNESCO's World Heritage Site, aside from its status and yung promotion na ginagawa ni UNESCO para bisitahin siya ng mga turista, si UNESCO, pinapangalagaan din niya ang Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. By how? They are actually forbidding yung mga turista to go inside the forest itself. So, ang ginawa ni UNESCO is nagpatayo siya ng museum, Science Museum at the foot of the mountain range. Mount Hamiguitan Range Wildlife Sanctuary. Ganon din ang nangyayari kay Puerto Princesa Subterranean River. Because of UNESCO, Palawan were able to protect yung forests nearby the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River. Kasi in UNESCO, there is what we call buffer zone, wherein within that buffer zone, wala dapat mga establishment ang maipapatayo. Dapat ma-conserve kung ano yung itsura niya ngayon, dapat ma-conserve yon as the time passes by. So, nagkakaroon niya ng positive environmental impacts. Another, development of attractions, historic preservation, and resident benefits. Several countries around the world are identifying places which have the potential to attract tourists. Example, yung mga natural and national park natin dito sa Pilipinas. Kaya nila nilalagyan ng ganong status so that hindi na siya mapatayuan ng other establishment that will ruin the beauty and the value of that specific attraction. So, high mountain areas have also been developed. Example, yung Banawe Rice Terraces in Baguio City. Many historical sites in both rural and urban areas have been preserved to attract more tourists. This restoration and rejuvenation process is occurring throughout the world and serves as major characteristics of an area intended to impress tourists. So, if the attraction is primarily intended to attract tourists because of its natural beauty, most likely, the government, the private and public sector will allot a huge amount of effort just to preserve that, to preserve that value of the attraction. Tourism and hospitality also benefits the tourists as well as the local residents. They are provided with quick access to a variety of nature's wonders. and outdoor activities because of the creation of national parks and monuments and free access to coastal areas as a result of the development of coastal resorts. So that would be the positive environmental impacts of tourism. Negative naman tayo. So before we talk about the specific negative impacts of tourism and hospitality, let's first define carrying capacities kasi na-mention ko na din naman kanina. Carrying capacity that is the degree of development of a certain area that can take without having detrimental effects on the environment. So if we will not follow carrying capacity, the area will definitely deteriorate in no time. Just like what happened in Boracay before its rehabilitation. Ang carrying capacity kasi, yan yung total number of people that a certain attraction or that a certain location can handle. Yung hindi sobra-sobra for that certain attraction. Ma'am, bakit? Pag ba, for example, in that attraction, 20 lang ang carrying capacity niya. Pag ba nag-25, ma'am, anong mangyayari? Like, for example, in a river. When we go to a river, when we go to a waterfalls, we bring in our garbages. We bring in our wastes. So, kung 20 tao lang ang kaya noon, ibig sabihin nun, yun na yung limit niya. Yung waste na dadalhin ng 20 na tao na yon is the maximum waste na kayang i-handle ng attraction na yon before it could rejuvenate. So if the tourist development becomes saturated, the very attractions which draw tourists to a place may be destroyed, causing the decline in quality and popularity of a certain tourist destination. So the first one, environmental conflicts. Some of the problems affecting the quality of environment are destruction of vegetation. Occurs because of the large number of tourists who trample on vegetation. Kaya kapag nakakita kayo ng do not step on the grass, please do not step on the grass. Because it's a destruction of vegetation. Ma'am, hindi naman vegetable yon. Vegetation generally means you step on the grass, please do not step on the grass. Because it's a destruction of vegetation. Ma'am, hindi naman vegetable yon. Vegetation generally means yung mga plants, yung mga flora natin, flora species natin. So, pag madaming mga turista in one area, most probably hindi nila masusunod yung mga regulation, yung mga walkways, pathways, na ano yun, nagda-divert sila, resulting to na aapakan nila yung mga different vegetations around the area. Another, air pollution, which results from the gas fumes emitted by increasing number of transportation equipment and factories. Water pollution as a result of the discharge of untreated waste resorts or boats into seas, rivers, lakes, and springs. Ito yung malaking issue ng mga cruise line natin, yung mga cruise ship natin. Where do they dump their garbages? How do they dump their garbages? Do they treat their garbages before they dump it into the water, or are they really dumping their garbages doon sa water? So, ayun yung mga causes ng water pollution. Another, noise pollution that is associated with traffic congestion on land and on air. And then meron yung mga yung mga natural park natin na hindi allowed sumigaw, hindi allowed magingay. Kasi merong wildlife na nakatira doon that are extra sensitive to sounds. So for example, if an area may nagro-roam around na eagle, eagles are very territory. And pag nag-ingay ka doon, medyo magkakaroon ng effect yun doon sa perception ng eagle doon sa area na yon. So the eagle might leave that territory and might migrate to other forests. So meaning, nabawasan yung wildlife species nung area na yon. So that's noise pollution and destruction of wildlife. Results from killing of animals such as birds and the disruption of the normal habits of breeding and feeding. Example of this would be yung mga butanding. when getting very, very close to the butanding, merong effect yun sa kanila. Another example would be the tarsiers. Meron, totoo yun, yung